gotta call Big Lou.
Gotta. 800-555-2085.
Write it down.
800-555-2085.
The days are getting longer, the roads are calling, and it's a great time to upgrade your ride at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland. Right now, get 1.9% APR for 36 months on a 2026 GMC Terrain, the perfect SUV for wherever the road takes you. Need a truck? Take advantage of up to $7,000 in rebates on a 26 GMC Sierra 1500 with eligible trade-in. And for serious capability, get $500 bonus cash on a new 2026 GMC 3500. See the full lineup today at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland or online at hurlchev.com.
If you're shopping for a banking institution, visit with Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, and Quinter, Kansas. The Equity Bank is heavily invested in local business and activities contributing in many ways back to their community. Their employees are involved with many organizations and area events. Plus, a lot of experience comes with that staff. You'll find valuable local assistance when you bank at the Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, Quinter, and other locations in Western Kansas. The Equity Bank, member FDIC.
Today will be cooler with highs in the upper 40s and low 50s, sunny skies, and north winds at 15 to 25, gusting to 35 miles per hour. Tonight, lows will be in the upper 20s, and tomorrow, gusty southwesterly winds at 20 to 30, gusting to 45 miles per hour, and sunshine with warm temperatures in the mid-70s. A fire weather watch is in place for the entire area. Friday and Saturday continues to be dry and breezy with elevated fire weather concerns. Friday's highs will be around 70, then Saturday around 80 under partly cloudy skies. South winds at 15 to 25 could be gusting 35 to 45 miles per hour at times. Friday night lows will be in the mid-30s, and the next system will come from the northwest, arrive Saturday night and Sunday, with colder air and chances for some light rain changing to snow Saturday evening and overnight, as temperatures go below freezing. This is meteorologist Chris Schromick in the NWKS Radio Weather Center.
From drive-through banking to mobile deposit, we make it easy to get things done on your schedule. Banking should fit your life, not the other way around. This is Jessica Von Lintel at F&B Bank. Banking made simple.
In a small town, your banker should know more than just your account number. They should know your name. At F&B Bank, we believe in real conversations, friendly faces, and decisions made right here at home. I'm Paige Sneathen, Vice President at F&B Bank, and we're proud to serve your family like our own. Member FDIC.
When you gotta go, but there's nowhere to go, who you gonna call? Topside Portables and Pumping, that's who. Weddings, job site, home parties, they've got clean, reliable porta potties that don't stink, literally. And if your septic tank smells worse than last year's chili cook-off, they'll pump it out fast. No mess, no fuss. Family owned, Heartland values, always ready. Call 785-728-8089. That's 728-8089. Topside Portables and Pumping. When duty calls, they answer.
Are pests making your home or business uncomfortable? Call Pestaway in Goodland, Kansas, serving all of Northwest Kansas. They provide top-notch pest control services to keep your space safe and pest-free. From ants to rodents, termites to spiders, our expert team is here to help with effective, safe, and affordable pest control solutions. Don't wait. Call Pestaway today at 785-728-7166 for fast, reliable service. Your home or business deserves the best protection.
The days are getting longer, the roads are calling, and it's a great time to upgrade your ride at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland. Right now, get 1.9% APR for 36 months on a 2026 GMC Terrain, the perfect SUV for wherever the road takes you. Need a truck? Take advantage of up to $7,000 in rebates on a 26 GMC Sierra 1500 with eligible trade-in. And for serious capability, get $500 bonus cash on a new 2026 GMC 3500. See the full lineup today at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland or online at hurlchev.com.
At Ray Community District Hospital and Clinic, they believe in promoting healthier living through compassionate quality care. From state-of-the-art maternity care to life-saving emergency services, their dedicated team is there for you and your family. Whether it's managing diabetes, navigating recovery, or receiving specialized treatments, they're committed to your well-being. Discover the difference a community-focused hospital can make. Visit rayhospital.org today to learn more. Ray Community District Hospital and Clinic. Your health, our priority.
You can't control cattle prices any more than you can control the weather. But you don't have to be a commodities expert to protect yourself against an unpredictable livestock market. Contact me, Caleb Morris at Farm Credit of Western Kansas, about a livestock policy to help protect you from declining market prices. Work with agents who work for you. Contact our office at 785-462-6714. Farm Credit of Western Kansas is an equal opportunity provider. You can't control cattle prices any more than you can control the weather, but you don't have to be a commodities expert to protect yourself against an unpredictable livestock market. Contact me, Caleb Morris at Farm Credit of Western Kansas, about a livestock policy to help protect you from declining market prices. Work with agents who work for you. Contact our office at 785-462-6714. Farm Credit of Western Kansas is an equal opportunity provider.
You ready? Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4!
It's time for the Morning Blitz with Ross Volkmer.
I'm old, I'm white, and I don't understand any of it.
The High Plains only local sports talk show, broadcasting live on Goodland's Rocket 102.5 and video streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and X.
Sky is everywhere.
Covering it all from the preps to the pros.
Right side throw, touchdown! Kansas City!
The Blitz is presented by Pearl Chevrolet GMC, Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware, and F&B Bank, along with
Pestaway LLC, Topside Portables and Pumping, Equity Bank of Hoxie, Quinter, and Grinnell, and the Insurance Agency.
Let's go to work. Driving DeMarco Minor. No! Put back, yes! 9/10 of a second to go. Pittsburgh is in front.
PJ looking for a screener. Drives inside the free throw line. Oh, great bounce pass and the throw down for Kamari McGriff.
But Pride punctuates a sensational season. For the first time in 25 years, Hofstra will play in the NCAA tournament.
Up top, Sanders, right side to Hargress. Skip past cross court, Inman pulls up 3 on the way, right between the eyes from downtown. Man, did Colorado need that one.
And the 1-2 pitch. Fly to right field. Caglione's going back at the wall. Goodbye. Not finished yet. Nico Armstrong. 3-run shot.
And good Wednesday morning, everybody. We are back here on the Morning Blitz. Broadcast, of course, on Rocket 1025, KLOE, and WKSradio.net, as well as the Hurl Chevrolet GMC video stream on YouTube, Facebook, and X. Thank you so much, no matter which way you are listening or watching, making us part of your morning. March 11th, and as Raleigh just said, stepping out of the studio, quite a change from yesterday weather-wise, that is for sure. Yesterday, temperatures getting up to the upper 60s, low 70s in some spots, and this morning. But at the same time, I do want to say this. It got up to the temperature, but it didn't maybe feel that warm because of the wind out of the north. That's kind of been the thing I've noticed this week, is that those temperatures are up there, but the wind is out of the north. And you look at today, once again, much cooler start today. We're going to have a much cooler day. Temperatures only really in the upper 40s here on the high plains, but the winds are going to be a big part of it. North winds anywhere from 15 to 25 miles per hour with gusts up to 40, which does put us in a fire weather watch in effect until tomorrow night, actually, until 7 o'clock tomorrow night. So going to be quite windy today and tomorrow, but today a cold front coming through. Tomorrow it will warm back up into the mid 70s with those winds. Once again, those winds will be out of the southwest. So it'll be a much warmer Thursday than what you're experiencing today, but extremely overcast here this morning with temperatures at 27 degrees and a nice stiff breeze at around 20 miles per hour, gusting up to close to 30. Here, at least outside the KLOE studios in Goodland. How's everybody doing today? We were ready to roll on a Wednesday show. Today's program, we will be talking about a tough day in basketball. No matter what level you want to put it on, when it comes to regional and area teams, it was a tough day. So we will get to that. Yes, Andy, I do know. Andy. I did see that text message, FB Bank text. I know you're proud of your team and should be. I'm not surprised by that outcome personally, Andy. But yes, we will get to some basketball thoughts coming up here in a little bit. A little bit later on in the show, our good friend Jesse Newell of The Athletic going to stop by the program and talk some NFL free agency. We'll talk about what the Chiefs have done, things that have happened in the AFC. Big story yesterday in the AFC as well. So we'll get to that with some NFL talk at the bottom of the hour with our good friend Jesse Newell of The Athletic. So that's coming up on today's program. We'll also, a little bit later on, get into some other news surrounding college basketball and some more NFL football talk as well in segment 3. So that's what's coming up. F&B Bank text line is open at 785-899-2222. But of course, the big news yesterday in the NFL was the news of Max Crosby, his trade not going through with the Ravens, a hiccup on his physical. And so Jared, we're chiming in, just broke Ravens have signed Trey Hendrickson, coming over from the Bengals now to the Ravens in that deal. So, hey, they didn't sit around and wait. And I got to see what Max Crosby's going to do. I've got thoughts on that in segment 3 coming up with the Raiders and the Ravens Crosby trade falling through. I got some thoughts on that. So plenty to get to on today's program. Tons of things to get to. FB Bank text line 785-899-2222. Michael says that's a rotten deal. The Ravens did it. They did it back in 2018 to a receiver from the Redskins to get Michael Crabtree. The exact same thing. Are we surprised? It's the Raiders. They do these type of things. Yes, it's fishy and it stinks. I got some thoughts on that a little bit later on in segment 3. I'll save that. So want to get into, though, right off the gate, just a very tough day in hoops overall. First and foremost, starting out in state basketball yesterday. Tough day for regional teams. It was a short stay for a majority of regional and area teams of the state basketball tournament yesterday. You had in Salina, the Oakley Lady Plainsmen lost in their first round game against Eureka. A tight game, 51-45. But the Lady Plainsmen come up short after making it back to state for the first time in 15 years. But the great season for Oakley. They finished with a 22-5 overall record, did the Lady Plainsmen, who once again, had a really great year, had to overcome a really good basketball team that they had lost to pretty handily in Hoxie, but got it done when it mattered most to get their ticket punched to state, and then just could not beat Eureka in the first round. So their season ends at 22-5. And then late last night down at the United Wireless Arena in Dodge City, I shouldn't say late, but in the evening time, the Wescan Coyote boys lose to Cunningham 58-29, the final score last night there from Dodge. Ending the Yotes' season with a 16-9 overall record. Once again, another great story there of a team that was down handily in their sub-state championship game to Wheatley Grinnell, came back, went it to overtime, and then was able to make it to the state tournament for the first time, I think, in 22 years, I think is what that math was. So it's been a while for them, but the state was unfortunately short for them, just like Oakley. And then on top of that, a pair of GWAC teams losing yesterday as well. Holcomb and Scott City boys both falling out in the first round. Holcomb lost to Silver Lake. That was why Andy chiming in. He's a Silver Lake grad. 47-37, which I was not surprised to see that score. Silver Lake they're so well coached. And when you have, I think, probably, if not the best player on the floor, but maybe one of the two best players on the floor in the entire all of 3A in Dane Johnson, you're going to win a lot of games. But Holcomb loses 47-37 to Silver Lake. So they're out of the state tournament. And Scott City kind of had a feeling this was going to happen unless they just completely shot the lights out of the gym, which we've seen from time to time. But they ran into, of course, the powerhouse known as Heston, and they got beat pretty badly, 60-25, the final score. But, for Scott City, they're back at the state tournament, I think, for the first time in over a decade. So good on them. But a very tough first round, I would say, overall at the Acacia State basketball tournaments yesterday. Like I mentioned, area teams and then regional teams that you see around here play. Some of the area teams did not have a very good first day there at the state tournament. Hopefully some better luck today with two more area teams taking the floor. I guess three if you want to consider Quinter. It's kind of outside of our reach, but they play some of our area teams. But two more area teams for sure. You have the Quinter Lady Bulldogs, who are the 5 seed in the 1A D1 tournament. They will take on Centralia. That is set for noon Central Time tip. They'll get the day started at the Salina's Tony Pizza Event Center today. And then this afternoon, Wallace County Lady Wildcats, they're the 8th seed, will take on Hutch Central Christian. That is a 1-8 matchup. Of course, Wallace, this game is fascinating to me because this is the real ultimate test if you're Wallace County, because they've had an amazing run through the postseason to this point. They were 8-11 when they began postseason play, and they were able to beat Otis Bison in their first round game. Then they knocked off the top seed Western Plains, and then they go and they win a sub-state title by beating Shiloh. They went through a really good Western Plains team and a very, very good Shiloh team behind just unbelievable performances from Georgie Benish and Callie Richardson through the postseason, just putting up video game numbers, those ladies were. And now you're going to put that to the test against a very, very talented and very good Hutch Central Christian team. So if they win today, it might just be a team of destiny, if you ask me. Might just be a team of destiny. But the Wallace County Lady Wildcats, 8 seed, taking on the top seed Hutch Central Christian, 4 Central Time. That is in Salina as well, but at KWU's or Kansas Wesleyan's Mabry Arena is where that game will take place here this afternoon. So those games are happening today. Quinter, I think I highlighted this today. Not Quinter. I was looking for Dighton. I'll find it here. Oh, yes. Dighton plays today, 4:00 Central Time in the 1A D2 girls bracket. They're the 6 seed. They take on the 3 seed Buckland, and that is at the United Wireless Arena in Dodge City. Some other regional teams on the floor today. You've got the 3 and 3A girls. This is a busy day, by the way, at the United Wireless Arena in Dodge City. 3 games with regional teams in it. But at 6:00 here this evening, you've got the 3 seed Holcomb Lady Longhorns, of course, who ended both Colby and Goodland's season. They will take on the 6 seed Ellsworth, who upset Beloit there in Larned on this previous Saturday. So you've got Holcomb and Ellsworth facing off in the 3A girls first round. And then the nightcapper, Hugetson boys, the 4 seed, take on the 5 seed Andale. That ought to be a doozy of a game. That ought to be a very interesting one with Andale's great athletes that they have from their football success, and Hugetson, of course, just being the powerhouse boys basketball program that they are. That ought to be a doozy of a game. That's a big-time game here today. And then another interesting game that I kind of had highlighted that I think that is played today, just because I've seen both teams and I think they're both pretty good. But you've got in 3A girls, the 2 seed Silver Lake against the 7 seed Heston. That is played at Emporia's White Auditorium. So think about this today. I mean, I not that I want to say it's a ridiculous. I'm not going to say it's ridiculous, but if we were doing this last year, the fans from Silver Lake would have gone down to Hutch, would have had a hotel, could have watched their team play in the first round, and then after that could have came back to the hotel, rest the next day, get up and go cheer on their boy or their girls tonight in Hutch. Instead, they played in Salina yesterday. Did Silver Lake at the Tony Pizza Event Center. Get done with that game, go back home, and then pack up the bus and then head to Emporia for their girls' game here today. The state tournament is once again had a lot of negative reviews, a few positive reviews. I saw some people do love the atmospheres that they're seeing at these tournaments. I saw that was one of the things they said about the bigger schools playing it like the KCK Junior College Arena. People were very happy about that because the crowd size, it was, it's a bandbox. You're playing in a small arena. You got a lot of people in there. It makes the atmosphere really exciting. That's a positive that I've seen from the comments, but still a lot of negative. Another negative thing I thought about is, if you're a team that won, yesterday, and your opponent was playing yesterday, you didn't really get a chance. Usually you get to go scout your opponent live. You get to go see it live. Now you just got to go to the film, which isn't a big disadvantage, but still it's different. Usually we'll scout this team here live as a staff, get a game plan together, all that stuff. That's not what happens. Now you got to go back to the film room and watch it because if you're probably not playing in the same arena or even in the same city as your opponent is. So that's kind of an interesting twist to things. So once again, tough day yesterday in high school basketball, and today more area teams and regional teams are in action, highlighted by Quinter girls and Wallace County girls both playing today. So tough day at the state basketball tournaments for regional teams. It was a tough day as well for our regional JUCOs yesterday, as the Fort Hays Tech Northwest and Colby Community College seasons came to an end yesterday. Colby Community College women, both these teams losing in the second round of the Region 6 tournament. You had Colby Community College women losing at Hutch 74-65. Tight game through the first half. Colby was actually up by 2 at halftime, but the third quarter, I think they're outscored like 27-15. Really struggled in the third quarter. Outscored Hutch in 2 out of the 4 quarters, but that third quarter really did them in. Desiree Ulmer, a really good performance. She was one of 3 Lady Trojans in double figures with a game-high 24 points in the loss in her final game as a Trojan. So Colby ends its season at around 500, 16-15 for Coach Darren Spence's Lady Trojans. A really good season for them, and they've got a little bit of regrouping to do because they're going to graduate some real key pieces, and they've got to find replacements for those. And the Fort Hays Tech Northwest men's season also ended on the road at Butler yesterday. The Tech Tigers losing 101-87. High-scoring affair, as Butler loves to do. They are a up-tempo, push-the-ball type of team, and they outscored the Tigers. They shot a high percentage, I think, and they had a ton of points off turnovers. There wasn't a ton of turnovers. Or I shouldn't say the turnover margin was not that different, but it was the difference in points off turnovers. Like, I think Tech finished with like 15 or 17 points off turnovers, and Butler finished with like 36. And that's so to get it, forcing those turnovers, and then after that, you look at it and you're like, well, geez, and then they're getting 30-some points. And that was, to me, I thought that was a big stat in the day. Tech had 2 guys score over 20-plus points. Q Dixon and DeKing Smith went for 23 and 21, respectively, in that losing effort. But the Tigers' season comes to an end at 16-16. A very tough year, and a lot of what could have been for the Fort Hays Tech Northwest men, as they were almost in every single game this season. And as we mentioned many times before, it's going to be the season remembered for just close losses and some close wins, but mostly close losses. When you got 10 games where you go out and you lose by 5 points or less, that's a hard season to swallow. Credit to them, though, for getting in the postseason, going on the road, getting a close win at Independence in the first round, and then just running into a buzzsaw that is Butler, who's probably going to be playing Barton for the regional title, I would think, probably coming up here in 10 days or something like that. So nonetheless, so once again, 2 teams seasons coming to an end, in Colby Community College women and Fort Hays Tech Northwest men. Yesterday, both teams finishing with around a 500 record. And finally, as we put a bow on some more tough losing yesterday, both K-State and Colorado's seasons came to an end at the Big 12 basketball. Well, I shouldn't say seasons came to an end, but their Big 12 tournament stay was very short. I'll put it that way. You have of course, the K-State men losing last night there on the glass floor there at Kansas against BYU. 105-91 was the final score. PJ Haggerty led the Wildcats with 27 points. Nate Johnson had 19 points, but they could not slow AJ DeBonsa. He scored a freshman record in the Big 12 tournament, 40 points in that game last night. He was fantastic. He was driving. He was scoring. K-State had no answer. And it's not a surprise that it happened to Kansas State. In my opinion, it's not a surprise that happened, just because K-State defensively has been a poor basketball team all year. They've not been a good defensive basketball team. That's one of the biggest reasons why Jerome Tang was let go in the middle of the season, is because they couldn't stop anybody and they tried to outscore everybody and it didn't work. So that's a hard thing there, a tough pill to swallow, if we're being honest. That was a tough pill to swallow there. But you look at what happened with K-State last night. They were hanging around. I mean, they had a lead, golly, at one point in time in the first half. And so it wasn't like it was a complete blowout. BYU kind of pulled away a little bit late, but it was just the finale of a very tough 12-20 season as the Wildcats turn their focus now to trying to find a new head coach. And I got some audio after the game. Coach Driscoll talking post-game about how it's a bittersweet ending to this season for K-State men's basketball.
It's bittersweet. I just, Coach is like a brother, and now it's a finality. So now it's really over. I had to step in and be the head coach, and so I had other things I had to do. In my personality on my profile test for my psychological test, I'm wired that way. And so now, in the next 2-3 days, I'm sure it'll be really difficult for a lot of different reasons. And so I'm proud of the staff. I thought we made some really nice adjustments tonight. I thought we did some really good things to lead the first half. But those 3 dunks at the end of the half really hurt us. And so give them credit because they're the ones that got the plays and made the dunks. And super proud that they didn't quit. We never quit. We were resilient. I've been telling you guys that. And I told them that. I said, this might be the last game I ever coach. I don't know what I'm going to do. And I told them that, the one thing I don't ever want to do is coach quitters. And it's the last 4 minute media. So let's go out there and compete and still play. And they did, to our guys' credit.
So there you go, Coach Matthew Driscoll post-game following the 105-91 loss to BYU. I think K-State, all year long, they've been a really good offensive team. They actually hit 13 threes last night, but when you get beat by 11 on the glass and you've really struggled to get defensive stops, that was the end of this year. I mean, you just look at that K-State team and it just felt like they were built to score. Everyone was built to score and no one was built to stop. And that was the tough part there. But like I said, 4 guys in double figures. CJ Jones even came off the bench and got 10 points. But PJ Haggerty with 27. And my guess is, they're going to go with a new head coach next year and you probably won't see anybody back. Maybe it might be a complete rebuild again for K-State, a complete gut job and rebuild. I've seen rumors that it sounds like it could possibly be the Utah State basketball head coach. His name is escaping me off the top of my head. But looks like there's rumors that he could be the new head coach at Kansas State. That was one thing I saw yesterday from a semi-credible source. I'll see if that's if that ends up being true or not. But yeah, K-State just could not stop AJ DeBonza, who put on a show. 40 points last night on 15 of 21 shooting. I mean, he was very efficient. And he also had 6 assists, 3 steals, and 9 rebounds. And I also saw in the game, and there were some times in the game, like right before half, K-State had a chance to trim into the deficit. K-State did. And there was, I think it was CJ Jones was at the top trying to create in that game, trying to create a big time play. And in doing so, he slipped and fell on this glass floor. I saw that a lot in the K-State game for sure. Lots of traction issues, lots of guys slipping and falling on the glass floor. And that was fascinating to me, how bad that was. Not that it was a surprise, heard rumors that it wasn't that great, but they really struggled with traction. And one of the media reporters after the game caught up with Taj Manning and talked about the floor and the issues there.
Been talking about this floor. What was it like playing on the floor? I saw a few slippages.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
To be honest, it's slippery. It's the lights and stuff cause Kamari to get a migraine, and
really?
Yeah, it's a bad floor. They shouldn't bring it back. If you want my honest opinion.
Fun for the fans, but not for the players, maybe.
Well, I haven't really talked to any fans, so I don't know. I'll probably ask my dad what he thought about it. Yeah, it's just an eyesore. It's constantly changing and stuff. It's flashing different lights and all that. Nobody wants to play on that. Really. Just want the normal hardwood.
Strong words there about the floor from Taj Manning, but gave Kamari McGriff a migraine. So yeah, interesting. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's some cool things. I mean, they make a free throw. It kind of lights up around the free throw line. They make a 3. It kind of flashes real quickly. They had a big time dunk, and you see it cracks like glass in the 3-point circle. There's some neat things about it, but it's too much. It's too much. The players don't like it. I don't think it's exactly very safe. Yeah, it's certainly something, that's for sure. And then real quick before we get to break, last night Colorado, their time at the Big 12 tournament came to an end as well. They lose last night by a final of 92-83. The Cowboys get the last laugh. Colorado got off to a good start. Oklahoma State led by 1 at halftime, and then in the second half, Colorado struggled with rebounds and free throws. I mean, Oklahoma State was 29 of 35 from the foul line. Colorado was 9 of 16. That was big. And Colorado also finished -10 in rebounding margin. And they had assistant coach Danny Manning on the postgame. He said those 2 biggest reasons why we lost. We did not get to the foul line enough, weren't aggressive enough, and we weren't attacking the glass hard enough in that game. They had 4 guys in double figures, led by 22 points from Bangot Dak, who was really good, 10 of 13. Had even knocked down a couple of threes. He was fantastic last night, but that stay for Colorado was short. They did. Mark Johnson visited with Danny Manning postgame about playing in the postseason, not the NCAA tournament, but maybe the NIT or maybe even the Crown.
I always like to play. That's my answer. But, there are a lot of different things that'll go into it. And I'm sure, Tad and Fernando will have conversations about what's next and moving forward. But, we have such a young team. So anytime you can get extended minutes to help these guys and their experience and growth, I think that's always a good thing.
I don't know why you wouldn't want to go play. There's plenty of other tournaments that are happening. I think you need to probably go play in these tournaments. Go play in these tournaments. Whether it is the NIT or the Crown, go play in something. You've got a really talented young basketball team, and if you can keep those guys together a little bit longer and hopefully keep them around for next year, I think Colorado's got a great chance of having a special season next year and making it to the NCAA tournament. That's my opinion. But go play, whether it's the Crown or the NIT. They could win the Crown, honestly. I think they've got enough pieces there to get that done and take home a little bit of cash as well. But the season comes to an end for both K-State and Colorado yesterday. All right, so there you go. Like I said, a tough day in hoops overall. Let's take a break, and we come back. Jesse Newell is going to join the program next, and we will talk with him about NFL free agency, and particularly from the Chiefs side and others. You're listening to the Morning Blitz.
You can feel it in the air. Longer days, greener lawns, and plenty of projects waiting around the house. Good thing Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware in Goodland has you covered. Freshen up your home with Benjamin Moore paint, tackle the yard with powerful Ego battery tools, and give your lawn the boost it needs with Stage 1 Ultimate Fertilizer. Thinking about cooking outside? Check out their great selection of grills, griddles, smokers, and outdoor living essentials. And remember, if you need it, Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware probably has it. They eat and have milk. Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware in Goodland and Colby, your place for just about everything.
Looking for insurance that actually puts you first? At the insurance agency in downtown Goodland, we're independent, which means we work for you. Whether it's auto, home, crop, or business, we shop top carriers to get you the best coverage at the best price. No pushy sales. Just honest advice from people who live right here in your community. Give us a call today at 785-899-5011 or stop by 1020 Main in Goodland and let's get you covered. The Insurance Agency. Insurance the way it should be.
It's time for a check of the markets with the Anderson Trade Group on the Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio Network.
Good morning. This is Tom Saluda with the Anderson Trade Group with your overnight market report on March the 11th. In the overnight session, May corn was up 7 at 4.59. July corn up 7.5 at 4.71, and Sep corn up 7 at 4.73. May soybeans up 20.5 at 12.22. July up 20.5 at 12.35, and August up 18.25 at 12.18. May KC wheat up 14 at 6.23. July KC up 13.5 at 6.36.5. And Sep KC up 13.25 at 651.5. The Dow Jones is currently down 200 points at 47,500. S&P is down 15 points at 6,771. Nasdaq is down 35 points at 24,947. Gold is down 64 points at 5,180 an ounce. Silver slightly down at 85 an ounce, and crude oil is up 5% at 87.50 a barrel. If you're in the Colorado area and have any grain to market or risk management questions, please call John Hanke or John Stiles at 970-744-4484, or you can call myself, Tom Saludo, Jared Law, or Tyler Ghosh at 913-748-3000. Thank you.
The Anderson Trade Group, proud market partners with Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio. Find out more at andersongrain.com. The risk of loss through trading futures and or options is substantial, and each investor or trader must consider whether this is a suitable investment. Past performance, whether actual or indicated, is not indicative of future results. The Anderson Trade Group has no guarantee that the advice given will result in profitable trades.
To get started.
Kansas Corn reminds you that E15 fuel is the right choice for every kind of driver. For the car enthusiast, E15 has higher octane. For the thrifty driver, E15 is priced lower than regular unleaded. For the nature lover, E15 provides cleaner air. For the shopper who buys local, E15 has more ethanol from our Kansas corn farms. Choose E15 for a higher octane, lower price, and cleaner American fuel. This message from the Kansas Corn Commission. Learn more at kscorn.com.
All the sports you love, all in one place.
Ooh, this will come in handy.
This is the Morning Blitz.
It's Wednesday, March 11th, 20 minutes to the top of the hour here as we push along here on a chilly start to this day. Once again, 32 and windy out of the north. High's only going to get to the 40s today and then back up to the 70s. This would not be, in my recollection, this is definitely not weather that Jesse Newell is a fan of. I know that for a fact. Right, Jesse? You're not a fan of the cool, windy weather?
Oh, it was glorious yesterday, Rob.
I know.
But, just teased us.
Oh, it'll be back. Don't you worry. I mean, it's been it hasn't been that rough of a winter if you really think about it. At least here it hasn't. I can't imagine it's been that much different over there.
No, it's been a great winter, but yeah, yesterday was false spring, which always puts us in a good mood and then a bad mood immediately afterwards. So welcome to Kansas.
That's right. Welcome to Kansas. But it must not be that bad. You continue to live here. So, you could have moved, could have gone somewhere else. You could have gotten a job following the Raiders or something like that. I'm sure they're probably looking for anybody at this point in time.
They are, yeah.
Yeah, see? How about that? Jesse Newell, our good friend from The Athletic, joining us now on the Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware hotline. Jesse, I want to start off, I guess, first and foremost with the with the news of all the big time signings for the Chiefs. They were very active there initially. They knew what they wanted. They went out and got them, highlighted by Kenneth Walker. What was just kind of your initial thoughts on what Brett Beach and the crew did very early in the free agency process?
Yeah, I mean, nobody can guarantee success. And I think if you look back to last year, free agency sort of works like the draft a little bit sometimes, or recruiting, if we want to go to the college ranks, where it can feel like there are no losers. Everybody you sign is going to be perfect. Everybody who's injury prone is never going to get hurt. Everybody who's ever shown potential, the team you signed that you are cheering for is going to unlock it, so it's kind of hard to gauge at this point. But I mean, I think there's some logic to what the Chiefs did. I know, I would be one as kind of an analytics guy who would say, hey, running backs, I don't know if you want to spend on that. I don't know if that's, something in the game that it's hard to find. We don't know exactly which ones are the right ones. But for the Chiefs in particular, if you look at the kind of big picture situation they have, it's that there's really none available in the draft besides Jeremiah Love, and they desperately need one. They need to revamp their run game. So use your free agency dollars. And then that's what they did. They paid up for Kenneth Walker. Now, the question with Kenneth Walker is going to be injury. He's been a guy that's been in and out of the lineup. And last year, the Chiefs got burned when they took on Elijah Mitchell and Christian Fulton, and two guys with injury history. And what was the reason that they didn't really work out with the Chiefs? It's because both got hurt, and both really weren't their explosive selves as the Chiefs expected. So there is some potential downside there, but I think this for the Chiefs, getting Kenneth Walker clears them up for the draft to be able to take whatever position falls to them, whatever player falls to them, and most likely a premium position that they're not able to usually draft in the first round because they have a top 10 pick for the first time since they got Patrick Mahomes back in 2017. So you do that, you lose a bunch of players, obviously, from that 2022 class, but signing a guy like Alohi Gilman, the safety, as a replacement for Brian Cook, they probably scouted him and liked him about as well as Cook, but knew they could get a little bit of savings in there. Kairos Tonga is another guy. They desperately need interior defensive line help. They've been trying to rotate through that position too long with old veterans, and Tonga should help them there. So it makes sense. It makes logical sense. They didn't have a bunch of cap space to be able to go out there and spend, but I think the positions they got is what Brett Veach normally tries to do, is he tries to clear his base needs so that he can go to the draft and he can take whatever position is available there and isn't forced to take some position based off of just pure need. So I think it's a smart move for the Chiefs. Will it work out? I guess we'll see that here in a few months.
Jesse Newell, our guest here on the Morning Blitz. You mentioned it. They didn't have a ton of cap space. Still really don't. Is it just amazing? It's amazing to me. Is it amazing to you how Brett Veach continues to work around the cap and find ways to still bring supposedly really good pieces in to help his team win each and every year?
Yeah, if you would have said, I think most of the free agent list out there had Kenneth Walker as a top 10 guy. If you would have said the Chiefs don't have much cap room, but they're going to bring in a top 10 free agent, you might not have anticipated that. But to work it at the position they did, I think is part of what goes into this. And listen, the Chiefs' cap problems are based off of their own decisions. Nobody forced them to have to pay extensions to Chris Jones and Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith and Nick Bolton and George Karlaftis. And then obviously, you want to keep Patrick Mahomes, but he's top of market as well. But this is what they do. The thing you don't want with free agency dollars, honestly, and I know we're going to make fun of the Raiders here, but the position they're in, you don't want a whole lot of money to spend because it doesn't spend well. What happens is you're a bad team, and then you have to go out there and, like with Tyler Linderbaum, you have to go out and say, hey, we know you don't want to come to the Raiders, but here's $15 million, $20 million more. Just take the money and come play for us because we're trying to rebuild this thing and money spends, that sort of thing. So you don't want to go into this with a lot of cap dollars because that means you have not drafted well. You have not kept guys that you've developed through your system well. But for the Chiefs, a lot of these are self-inflicted sorts of things, but they're positive self-inflicted. They've gotten guys, they've drafted well, they've developed those guys through the system, and they decided to reward them and move on with them as players. So still, to be able to be flexible enough and clear enough cap space, I know like trading Trent McDuffie, that saves $13 million this year, and that's something that potentially directly led to them being able to sign Kenneth Walker for $14 million. So those sorts of moves and looking at the big picture, it is interesting how they kind of rearrange things to get things going with the Chiefs. But Brett Veach sort of has a method here and a method to his madness, and sure seems to me like he's going to have a lot of freedom coming up for the NFL draft to have those 11 selections and not be able to go to the first round and say, I have to have a running back, I have to have an edge rusher, I have to have a wide receiver. Kind of let the board fall to him and take the best player that's going to fit their particular needs.
Jesse, you mentioned it. Kenneth Walker has struggled a little bit sometimes at staying in the lineup, dealt with some injuries. But, he is the reigning Super Bowl MVP, and now he's on the Kansas City Chiefs. If you look at what he did, particularly in the Super Bowl and in the postseason with Kenneth Walker, what kind of guy are the Chiefs getting, and what could he possibly be for them?
Well, you start with the person. I know Michael Sean Dugar, who covers the Seahawks for The Athletic, he did a video that was ending up in our piece in the story that the Chiefs signed Kenneth Walker. Just said he's a stand-up guy. He'll be one that champions his teammates. You can't ignore the locker room part of this, especially when you're going to spend this sort of money on a particular player. So it sounds like he checks all the boxes in that particular regard. I think, Ross, you hit on a big piece of this, which is he obviously drove up his value from the postseason. He looked like a different player in the postseason, a little bit even Le'Veon Bell-like, where he was waiting, tap dancing, and then boom, hitting the hole. But the Chiefs, what they desperately needed and what he fits is explosive runs. Last year, I can quiz you, I guess, Ross, here. How many 20-plus yard runs did the Chiefs running backs have last season? Can you tell me?
0.
0 is a good guess. They had 1.
Kareem
Hunt had 1 against the Jacksonville Jaguars. How many 20-plus yard runs did Kenneth Walker have in the regular season for the Seattle Seahawks?
I'm going to go with 8.
10. There you go. So this is exactly the piece the Chiefs are looking for. so much of their offense is they get yards after catch. They scheme things open, they get guys open in space, and then they have those guys catch the ball and run. But the opposite of that, or I guess the equivalent of that on the run game, is just the easy button. Have an explosive run every once in a while. And the Chiefs have been playing offense in the run game on hard mode for so long because their dude never breaks a tackle, and then he never goes off to the races. And so that's really what they're looking for with Kenneth Walker. My concerns would be injury, and the other concern would be that he just wasn't that type of productive player in the regular season for the Seahawks. He was good. He was better than what the Chiefs had, but he was not the dynamic playmaker that we saw in the Super Bowl where he really took off. So we'll see. If he's somewhere in between that, the Chiefs will be just fine with this, especially if he can stay healthy. But he really fits the one thing that their offense has been missing over the last couple of years. So it makes a lot of sense the Chiefs to go out there, target him, and give him that top-end money just to make sure to fix that need, especially before the draft comes up here next month.
The Athletics, Jesse Newell joins us. He covers the Kansas City Chiefs. He's their beat reporter there for The Athletic on the Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware Hotline. Is there anything else that you think Brett Veach is going to do here? He was so aggressive and so assertive in the first day. Is there any pieces that he's out there possibly still looking to add, or is it more focused now turn to the draft, as you mentioned?
Yeah, so I would think that they're going to look, if you look a couple years ago, and on the 2023 team that ended up winning the Super Bowl, some of the best moves that Brett Veach made was during the second wave of free agency, when he sort of just let guys fall and he didn't anticipate guys being available. But there's three names. There was one player at every level of the defense for the Chiefs. There was Charles Omenihu at defensive end. There was Drew Tranquill at linebacker, and there was Mike Edwards at safety. And all three of those guys, the Chiefs did not anticipate getting at the price they did, but they ended up all playing huge impacts in that team that ended up winning the Super Bowl. And so I think it would be wise for the Chiefs to sort of sit this thing out for a while and wait to see some of where these markets fall, because we know it's a spending spree to start with, and you want to get exactly what you want and fill those base needs. But with whatever limited money the Chiefs have left, they would be better to be choosy and kind of see if there are some values there, because among free agency, when it comes to free agency, I just mentioned the Linderbaums of the world, the Kenneth Walkers of the world. You're not going to get, quote, values on day one. This is not, they didn't get Kenneth Walker to be worth $100 million when you pay him $45 million. They're getting him to be worth hopefully $35 million and you pay him $45 million. But you fill that potential hole that you have on your roster and don't have to worry about it here over the course of the next month. But if you sign, like the Chiefs did a couple years back, if you sign a Drew Tranquill for $5 million for a year, and he ends up being worth $8 or $9 million, well, that's a steal. That's helping out your surplus value on your roster. So I would see them potentially waiting here a week and seeing where some of these guys potentially fall to. And if other teams don't have the money to spend on these guys, then the Chiefs can maybe swoop in and get that. But, there's some other guys they can retain on their own roster as well. I would fully anticipate a guy. I mean, this doesn't, make people excited or whatever, but Najee Johnson was part of that 2022 class. And he didn't play much last year because he was injured, but he knows the system. He's been a veteran. Steve Spagnuolo likes him. He's been around. Like, that would make sense as a veteran minimum signing for them to have to help fill out their cornerback room and give them some stability there when they've lost so many players here over the course of last week. So looking at those low-end guys and looking for some guys to fall, I'd anticipate the Chiefs shopping that market, but potentially maybe wait here a week and see kind of where things land with certain guys. And if guys fall to a point where you didn't expect them to, then maybe the Chiefs can jump back in on the bidding.
Jesse Newell, our guest. Jesse, I saw this post on social media about the top spending teams in the offseason to this point in time. This is a day old, but, the Chiefs were number 10. Chargers, I think, were number 8, and the Raiders were number 1. So 3 out of the 4 teams from the AFC West are in the top 10 in spending so far this offseason. What are your thoughts on the AFC outside of Kansas City and the moves that have been or haven't been made?
Yeah, the West for sure has gotten more competitive, and obviously the Mike McDaniel hiring as OC and with the Chargers, that raises attention. And I think you look at the betting markets, the Chiefs, Broncos, and Chargers are all right up there at the top when it comes to the AFC West odds. I think the Chiefs are slightly favored, but it's obvious that this is not the AFC West of 6 or 7 years ago. I mean, this is a much more competitive thing, and nobody's going to blink anymore if one of those other teams stands up and wins this particular thing. But the good news for the Chiefs, if you look at like Super Bowl odds, they're still compared favorably to a lot of those teams in the AFC. The Bills are up there still, even with a new coach. The Ravens are still up there with a new coach, but the Chiefs are still right in that mix. So it does speak to last year's 6-11 season. I know I can talk this to death as a guy that looks deeper into the numbers, but there were some fluky things that went against the Chiefs. There were some fluky things that went for them the previous year, and there were some fluky things that went against them last year. But this was a much better than 6-11 team, and now they have a bunch of draft capital, and they're going to be able to pick in the top 10, which they haven't been able to do in a decade's time. So, they have a real chance here to kind of reset themselves. It reminds me of 2022 when they lost in the AFC Championship game to the Bengals. It felt like they needed to take a step back to take a step forward. They traded Tyreek Hill, got all the draft picks, really hit on him, and then went back to the Super Bowl the next year and won it. This is the same sort of thing. They went 6-11. They take a step back. They trade Trent McDuffie for draft picks. They reevaluate, and now it's kind of time to take the step forward again. So how big will that step be? I guess we'll have to wait and see, but it would not – the Chiefs should be in the mix to win the AFC West again next year. I think there's no doubt about that, but there's definitely competition from these other teams and definitely more competition in the division than they've been used to over the course of most of the rest of the past decade when, some of these other teams were not really giving much of a challenge. They'll definitely have a challenge here in 2026.
Jesse Newell of The Athletic covers the Kansas City Chiefs. Thank you, Jesse, for the time. Appreciate it, my friend. Be well. We'll catch up down the road.
All right. Appreciate it, guys.
Once again, great stuff there from Jesse Newell, our good friend there from the covering the Chiefs from The Athletic. He's been with us a long time here in the Blitz. Probably one of our longest standing guests is Jesse Newell. And so really appreciate him taking time and joining us on the program and being able to join us and talk some stuff with us about the Kansas City Chiefs. All right, let's get to our final break. We'll be back and some more thoughts on some NFL free agency news, including the Raiders, Ravens, Crosby trade that fell through. A few more thoughts on that. And then a couple of Chiefs, have been picked up by other teams, going to other spots, and some thoughts on those guys and where they're headed. We'll wrap up the show with those thoughts next. You're listening to the Morning Blitz.
Get ready for a weekend full of ideas to make your home and living better. Join us for the NWKS Radio 35th Annual Home and Better Living Show happening March 20th through the 22nd in the main gym of the Colby Event Center. You'll find vendors from across the area, live demonstrations, and plenty of inspiration for your home and lifestyle all in one place. Admission to the Home and Better Living Show is completely free. Make plans to stop by March 20th through the 22nd for the 35th Annual Home and Better Living Show at the Colby Event Center. We'll see you there.
You can feel it in the air. Longer days, greener lawns, and plenty of projects waiting around the house. Good thing Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware in Goodland has you covered. Freshen up your home with Benjamin Moore paint, tackle the yard with powerful Ego battery tools, and give your lawn the boost it needs with Stage 1 Ultimate Fertilizer. Thinking about cooking outside? Check out their great selection of grills, griddles, smokers, and outdoor living essentials. And remember, if you need it, Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware probably has it. They eat and have milk. Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware in Goodland and Colby, your place for just about everything.
Your business was built right here, so was ours. At FNB Bank, we are not run from some distant city. We are run by neighbors, for neighbors. We know what matters to you because it matters to us too. From local decisions to face-to-face service, we are here. Bank local, grow local, stay local. FNB Bank, member FDIC.
Craving something delicious? McDonald's has you covered. From hot, fresh breakfast to juicy burgers and crispy fries, there's something for everyone, any time of day. And don't forget to try our classic McCafe coffee or refreshing McFlurry. Visit us in Colby, Goodland, Burlington, and Lamar for fast, friendly service and the flavors you love. Drive through, dine in, or order ahead on the McDonald's app. We'll have it fresh and ready. McDonald's, I'm loving it.
The days are getting longer, the roads are calling, and it's a great time to upgrade your ride at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland. Right now, get 1.9% APR for 36 months on a 2026 GMC Terrain, the perfect SUV for wherever the road takes you. Need a truck? Take advantage of up to $7,000 in rebates on a 26 GMC Sierra 1500 with eligible trade-in. And for serious capability, get $500 bonus cash on a new 2026 GMC 3500. See the full lineup today at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland or online at hurlchev.com.
It's the Morning Blitz.
We're having a great time, couple of laughs, everything's nice.
Weekday mornings from 7 to 8 Mountain, 8 to 9 Central.
Just a couple minutes left to go before we're out of here on a Wednesday morning. Thank you to Jesse Newell for joining the program. If you missed any of that, go check out the podcast. Anywhere you get your podcast, search for The Morning Blitz. FB Bank text line. Of course, the big news yesterday in the NFL, in the AFC or in the trade world, of course, you had the news of the Ravens losing Max Crosby, or that trade not going through with the Raiders because of Crosby failing his physical. Read somewhere that somebody says, in the short term, Crosby looks good, but it's the long term where the Ravens are like, he may not be worth the amount of picks that we gave up for him. So he failed his physical. That trade is now moot point. It's gone. Crosby goes back to the Raiders, and the Ravens picked up Trey Hendrickson this morning, the big defensive pass rusher out of Cincinnati, as he will move within the division. Crosby still could get traded. We'll see. He just won't be worth a couple of first-round picks at this point in time. But the thing that stands out to me that I saw is that impacts the Raiders a lot, not because of Crosby coming back, but because of the draft capital that he gave them when they traded him. That's no longer there. That draft capital is now gone. And so what are you going to do with that draft cap? Now that you have that draft capital, you made moves in free agency based upon that draft capital that you had. How does that impact your draft now that you don't have some of those draft picks? That's a fascinating thing to think about going forward. How the draft picks that they got from the Crosby trade from the Ravens, how they don't have those anymore. They made moves in free agency based upon having those picks. Now they don't have it anymore. That's a very tough deal to kind of navigate for the front office there for the Raiders. The Chiefs also had a couple of guys move on from Kansas City. Leo Chanel heading to Washington, the linebacker. But I thought the one that caught my eye was Isaiah Pacheco. He is landing in Detroit. And to me, that sounds like a guy who is set to replace David Montgomery, who's no longer in Detroit. David Montgomery is the battering ram. He's the Knuckles of the Sonic and Knuckles dynamic duo. Isaiah Pacheco can play that role. He can be that hammer back. He can be that guy that just doesn't need to hold, just puts his head down and blows through people. He may fit in quite well in Detroit, Isaiah Pacheco. So I think that's an interesting signing there for Detroit, bringing in former Chief Isaiah Pacheco. All right, let's get to the walk-off.
And back lifts his ball high and deep to right. How about a walk-off Brady? Thomas to the 10. Difference going on in New England. They win it on the first play of overtime. Mahomes flings it. It's there. Hardman. Jackpot. Kansas City.
Last night, we saw a little bit of history. We saw the second most points ever scored in an NBA game. Bam Adebayo, of all people, Bam Adebayo scored 83 points last night for the Miami Heat, surpassing Kobe Bryant and now just behind Wilt Chamberlain's 100-point game. The thing, Bam Adebayo had 31 points in the first quarter, which is cool, but I think the thing that was cool to me was how many free throws he attempted. I mean, the guy got to the line a ton last night. Just absolutely nuts how many times he got to the foul line. 36 of 43 from the foul line. That was one guy, not a team. One guy went 36 of 43 from the charity stripe. That's absolutely nuts. Also, last night, a couple of cool tickets punched. Cool storylines, which always looking for those in the NCAA tournament. Cool tickets punched. Hofstra back in the NCAA tournament for the first time in 25 years, led by Speedy Claxton, their head coach, and a guy who played at Hofstra. Pretty cool story there. And how about Siena? Back in the tournament for the first time since 2010, led by former Syracuse great Jerry McNamara. And when I was making my notes for this last night, I said, just look out. He'll be back at Syracuse sooner than later. And what happened this morning? Syracuse fired their head basketball coach. Autry is out after 3 seasons. I would put a lot of money on Jerry McNamara, who was an assistant with Jimmy Boeheim and playing with Jimmy Boeheim and helped lead him with Carmelo Anthony to the national championship. I'd put a lot of money on the fact that Jerry McNamara, after he is done at Siena this year, will be headed to Syracuse to lead the Orange. I feel very confident in that. All right, that'll do it for our program. Thanks to Jesse Newell. Thanks to all the texters and listeners. We'll see you back here again tomorrow on 23 Hours for a Thursday edition of the Morning Blitz.